The people want you up here, man, on the no funny shit couch.
You better check my jacket, man.
Oh, man.
Jim Jones really said it with his chest. Pusha T and Styles P don't got enough catalog to stand beside me. And that one line sent shockwaves through the whole hip-hop scene. It wasn't no backstage banter or a random slip-up on live. Nah, this was loud, proud, and public.
Me and Jim ain't in the same league. Me and Jim don't do the same things.
Yeah, y'all don't.
I am a bar master.
That's where it's different, though.
I am a lyrical technician.
Uh-huh.
I've been on joints with some of the best MCs in the world.
Uh-huh.
Big, Hove, Black Thought.
Within hours, that clip exploded across social media. And fans weren't debating, they were dragging. Because when a Harlem rapper steps out and questions legends like Nas or the LOX, people don't wait for context. They come ready with the receipts. Then came the counterattack, fast and flawless. Styles P didn't just clap back, he tore down Jim's entire argument on the spot. With a straight face, he said, "Me and Jim ain't in the same league."
There's a lyricist, a MC. I'm one of their favorites.
Respect.
I'm not here to make catchy hooks and do dope. I don't knock that. I'm trying to say some that's gonna make your soul move. That's what I'm into. I'm into making your soul move. So when I say a verse, you're gonna, if it resonates with you, it's gonna be some you may catch 10 years later.
And it wasn't arrogance, it was pure truth. Styles laid it out plain. Lyrical technician, bar assassin, name dropped by Rakim, KRS-One, Jay, all the hip-hop gods.
I ain't never answer it, and not to disrespect Jim, but that's disrespectful to me and my catalog to me, for how I look at it. I am a bar master.
Meanwhile, Jadakiss, he didn't even waste a single breath. Sitting right next to Jim on the Joe and Jada podcast, he cut that conversation off before it even began. This is a PSA, Jada warned. We not gonna talk about my brother Styles and we not gonna talk about Cam. Notice, he never said Jim's name once. That silence hit harder than a diss track. It was cold, calm, and surgical. Everyone watching could feel it. That was strategy. That exact moment brought flashbacks to the 2021 Verzuz, Dipset versus the LOX, when what was supposed to be a friendly battle turned into an execution live on stage.
What?
Jim don't got a green piece of paper. He don't got none of them kind of songs that make cry. A couple of them, but not 20 of them.
That's a venue with 100 niggas.
Catalog.
That's a venue with 100 niggas.
You better check my jacket. You better check my jacket. You better check my jacket, bro.
Jim Jones, Coon, and Jules Santana came into that Verzuz dripping in fur and Harlem confidence, but they left buried under bars. The LOX, Jada, Styles, and Sheik didn't just win that night, they etched their names in history. That battle wasn't a show, it was a reminder that real lyricism never left the culture.
Damn, like, I gotta find another bubble. You know what I mean? And then slowly but surely, I got out of that phase of just trying to chase ball and make music that I continue to make money. You know what I mean? And I do believe a hit will come, and a few hits have came since ball.
It only went silent until the right moment. And now, with one tone-deaf comment, Jim Dunn opened up that old wound like he forgot how brutal that last round really was. The backlash came fast and furious. Nas fans flooded every timeline with track lists, plaques, and quotes from Illmatic to Magic 3.
I have the utmost respect for Jim for how he built his career, for how he made his way, and what he does and what he brings to the game. I love Jim. That's like my bro.
Right.
But I think to compare us is a unfair comparison.
Meanwhile, Pusha T's army came armed with charts, showing he's still dominating in his 40s like a man in his prime. And the LOX loyalists? They didn't need stats. They just dropped one photo from Madison Square Garden and said, "We already settled this." Within a single day, hip-hop forums were roasting Jim's statement as the wildest take of the year.
Yo, he would, like, I can never take away anything that he's done in the game. I can't, you heard? And that's not it. But as a competitive man, that's all I'm doing is popping my shit. And this is what hip-hop is about. But for the most part, I got no problem with Nas South to Nas South.
Behind the scenes, things got messy quick. Insiders close to Jim's circle whispered to journalists that his quote was supposed to spark conversation, not chaos. According to a couple of folks connected to his media team, the plan was to get the internet buzzing, but not burning. Nobody expected the whole hip-hop world to turn it into a bonfire.
You heard? I fight all my battles on my own. I take losses and I take my wins the same way. You heard? The same smirk, just like this.
So now the question is, was this a slip-up or a smart play gone wrong? Did Jim just overstep, or was it all a calculated move to stay relevant in a world where moments matter more than music? Either way, he struck a nerve this time. Because when you take shots at someone like Styles P, a man who built his name on pure lyrical integrity, you don't just get dissed back, you get exposed.
There must be some type of misconception or what's that word? When it comes to Jim Jones and what Jim Jones have done in this game. A lot of these rappers...
We made them take the darkies off.
A lot of these rappers have done a tremendous job, and I take nothing away from them, but they forget I got a hell of a catalog. Me, Jim Jones, myself, gold records, platinum records.
Styles P snapped right into technician mode. He reminded everybody that his catalog ain't just long, it's legendary. I bar stuff down, he said, repeating it like a battle chant. That wasn't ego, that was authority. He was reminding the world that when it comes to lyrical precision, he doesn't just talk about skill, he defines it. By pulling out cosigns from hip-hop's Mount Rushmore, Rakim, KRS-One, Hav, and more, Styles drew a hard line in the sand. This ain't about popularity, he made clear, it's about pedigree. And then came Jada's move. Cold, calculated, and smooth as ever. He didn't throw shade, he didn't need to. He simply refused to acknowledge Jim's noise, and the real ones knew exactly what that meant. Jada was sticking to the code, the unwritten rule in hip-hop. Sometimes silence hits harder than the dopest verse.
Behind that.
I still got the same passion as you can see. You heard? I'm a passionate brother. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cry a lot of shit like that. I'm very emotional. So when people talk about me, I gotta stand up for me because nobody else gonna stand up for me, as you see.
But behind the scenes, it got tense. A former label exec close to the D-Block family spilled that quiet talks were happening behind closed doors. Word was, Jim was being told to apologize privately before the situation spiraled out of control. But guess what? That apology never came. Instead, Jim did the opposite. He doubled down, and the LOX, they turned that brotherhood into ammo. Styles hit every interview, every podcast, pushing one message again and again. Respect the craft. He wasn't angry, he was locked in, focused like a soldier on a mission. For him, this wasn't about Jim anymore. It was about the soul of hip-hop itself. We don't make catchy hooks, Styles said. We say things that move your soul. And that line shook the room because it was real. Styles don't chase Billboard hits. He delivers scripture. So when a rapper like him tells you to check his jacket, you know he's got nothing left to prove.
What is the definition, Jimmy? Because when you think, and if I ask anybody on the streets of New York, like, give me some adjective or definition of Jim Jones, what do you think one of the words would be?
I would hope a survivor, a visionary, a philanthropist, a person with a big heart, person that stands on 10 toes. Not perfect. He's a perfect example of what could happen for you in life if you believe in yourself. The man of the house is ones who provide, who takes care, make sure everybody is there, everybody is taken care of. That's the man of the house. The boss of the house is usually the person who runs the house, and she runs the house.
Meanwhile, Jim tried to spin the block and play both sides, hopping on a live stream days later, telling fans, it's just entertainment. But that excuse fell flat, because when you're facing artists who built their careers on truth and raw authenticity, waving the it's just entertainment flag started to look less like confidence and more like a shield, or worse, a smokescreen. That's when the vibe flipped. What started as a friendly debate slowly began to unravel, because if you gotta hide behind entertainment every time somebody checks you, then people start asking, what are you really defending? But see, this beef runs way deeper than a single comment. The tension between Jim Jones and Styles P didn't just appear overnight, it's been brewing for years. You can trace it all the way back to that unforgettable night when Dipset and the LOX shared the same stage at Madison Square Garden. That Verzuz wasn't just a battle, it was a scoreboard. And the aftermath? Brutal. The memes told no lies. The replays didn't either. Jim got hit with lyrical uppercuts in front of millions. And for a man who spent over 2 decades grinding his way from the streets to business status, that kind of loss doesn't fade easy. According to insiders close to the Harlem camp, this latest comment might not even be about disrespect. It could be Jim's attempt at a reset, a remember me moment from someone watching his cultural stock drop right before his eyes. And what makes it worse? Cameron, the very man who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Jim, has been publicly keeping his distance for more than a year now. When Cam hit the stage with 50 Cent in Miami, that wasn't just a performance, That was a message. Cam aligning with 50, laughing off his history with Jim. That tension sent shockwaves through the culture. Then the podcast clips dropped. Cameron sitting across from Memphis Bleak, keeping it all the way real. He said straight up, "I don't think me and Jim will ever reconcile. The run was only 7 years. We've got 15 years of disputes longer than the run." That wasn't bitterness, that was truth. 17 years of subliminals, interviews, sneak disses, and studio tension built a wall thicker than any Harlem block. Now, Jim's latest comments about Nas, Styles, and Pusha didn't just ruffle feathers, they ripped open old wounds, all at once. Fans started talking heavy, some saying Jim's public image might be running on borrowed time. Others pointed out how his flashy style and viral antics might just be distractions from a simple fact. The music hasn't been hitting like it used to. And when Styles P looked into the camera and said, "I made up a lane," that wasn't just a flex. It was a statement. He was reminding everyone there's a difference between being a trendsetter and being a trend chaser, between creating the wave and just riding it till it crashes. That's exactly why people started questioning Jim's real motive. Was that bold quote just a random take gone wrong? Or was it a failed viral stunt that backfired? In today's world where outrage equals engagement, you can't always control the fallout. Because once the LOX stepped in, everything shifted. This wasn't about clout anymore. It was about credibility. And Jim, he ended up on the wrong side of both. Soon after, whispers started moving through label halls. A former Def Jam insider claimed folks close to Jim had told him to clean it up, either drop a quiet apology or walk the comments back before things snowballed. The issue wasn't just about PR, it was about bridges. Bridges that take years to build, but seconds to burn. Insiders weren't worried about trending hashtags. They were worried about how much respect Jim was losing behind closed doors. But instead of cooling it down, Jim went live. He leaned straight into the chaos, brushed it off, and told everyone, "It's just entertainment." That was the moment everything locked in. Because once the heavyweights of hip-hop speak, and they speak together, it's no longer a debate, it's a reckoning. Now Jim's online trying to laugh it off, while Styles P's in the booth writing bars meant to bury egos, not just win arguments. And as Jim kept defending himself on live, the industry moved without him. While he was talking, others were plotting. Cameron and 50 Cent were making noise of their own. Louder, sharper, and a lot more strategic. When Cam hit the stage with 50 at Miami's Celeb nightclub, the whole culture felt it. That wasn't just nostalgia, that was a declaration. Seeing Cam on stage next to Fifth wasn't about old times. It was about power alliances. The message was crystal clear. Cam's circle evolved and Jim ain't part of it no more. The same man who once stood beside Jim was now standing across from him, and the optics couldn't be ignored. To make things even messier, this came just weeks after 50 announced his paid-in-full TV series, with Cam reportedly involved. The same project that already reignited tension between Dame Dash and everyone linked to that legacy, including Jim, and that just added fuel to the quiet feud simmering beneath Harlem's surface. Cam didn't sugarcoat a thing afterward. On the Rock Solid podcast, he spoke with full conviction, reminding everyone that he and Jim haven't been cool in nearly 2 decades. The run was only 7 years, he repeated. The fighting's been 15. That wasn't just a recap, that was a verdict. And now in 2025, it's looking like Jim Jones is stuck on the outside, watching while his former brothers form new power circles without him. Because in hip-hop, time might heal some wounds, but it never forgets who got erased from the picture. Back on the East Coast, the LOX kept the pressure on. Styles P wasn't just doing interviews anymore. He was dropping freestyles. And while he didn't name names, the coded bars said it all. Lines about fake legacy talk and brothers who forgot who fed them first had fans decoding every verse. Everyone knew exactly who he was aiming at. No need for names when the streets already know the story. Meanwhile, Jadakiss stayed stone-faced. No tweets, no interviews, no subliminals. Just calm, composed, and silent. And somehow, that silence spoke louder than any diss track. This wasn't about who could rap better anymore. It was about who still mattered. In a culture built on authenticity, real relevance ain't just made through sound, it's earned in silence. And behind the scenes, that silence started showing up in numbers. 3 producers tied to Def Jam and Epic Records revealed that Jim's recent antics had executives concerned. One even called the Nas comment career sabotage. Another insider claimed certain label meetings had been quietly put on pause, not because they questioned Jim's skills, but because the optics were too risky. No one wants to back the guy who came for Nas and got buried, one producer admitted. That's when a new narrative started forming. A darker one. Jim wasn't just catching internet backlash anymore. He was losing leverage. Jim tried to flip the story. Again. Days later, he jumped on a live stream, telling fans the clip was taken out of context. He swore up and down that he never said he was better than them, just that they didn't have the same kind of catalog. But fans weren't buying it for a second. They pulled up the footage, played back his exact words, and said, "Nah, bro, you said what you said. There was no misinterpretation. The internet receipts don't lie." One commentator summed it up perfectly. You can't say the quiet part out loud and then blame the mic. And from there, it was open season. Old clips of Styles P spitting vicious verses from his LOX days resurfaced everywhere. Bars with Black Thought, freestyles that still send chills down spines. The comparisons started stacking up fast. Side-by-side edits showing the LOX's razor-sharp stage control next to Dipset's sloppy performances. It was brutal, and fans were eating it up. What followed wasn't an instant downfall. It was a slow unraveling. Every repost felt like another public correction. Every fan-made mashup between Styles' lyricism and Jim's flashy antics became another punch to the gut. For all of Jim's charisma, all his business moves, and drip, he started to look like a man watching the party from outside the velvet rope. And the ones inside, the gatekeepers, the clipboard holders, were the very legends he tried to downplay. Meanwhile, those alliances forming without him kept growing stronger. Cam'ron and 50 Cent's Miami link-up wasn't just nostalgia, it was a warning shot. And soon after, rumors started swirling that they were already planning a second show, this time in LA, a big move to bring real New York energy to the West Coast. Whether that's fact or clever PR, the message was crystal clear. The new power circle doesn't include Jim. Think about it. Cam and 50, two heavyweights known for holding grudges, managed to squash their issues and stand side by side. But Jim, still stuck on live streams talking about who did what first, trying to rewrite the narrative. That's where the cracks really show. Because if 50 can make peace with Cam after all those years, but still won't even mention Jim's name, that tells you exactly where the bridge broke. What made things even worse? Styles P kept pressing the narrative without ever getting messy. He didn't throw names or subs, he just kept talking legacy, bars, respect, and influence. Every time he spoke, it felt like a hip-hop sermon. He broke down how the culture's been watered down by gimmicks, how too many rappers confuse visibility with value. It wasn't just deep talk, it was strategy. Styles was flipping the entire situation, framing Jim's loud online energy as not bold, but desperate. And every time Jim popped up with a flashy outfit and another vague defense, it looked like he was shadowboxing, arguing with ghosts while the rest of the culture just kept moving forward. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Jadakiss played it silent but deadly. Insiders close to him told reporters that Jada's refusal to engage wasn't passive, it was protective. One D-Block affiliate even said he didn't want to embarrass him, because if Jada starts talking, it's over. Everybody knows that. That's the part fans picked up on instantly. It wasn't that Jada couldn't respond, it's that he didn't need to. The LOX had already made their statement loud and clear back in 2021, and since then, they've only gained more respect, more momentum, and more control of the narrative. But Jim, he got stuck in his own echo chamber. Instead of cooling off, he started doubling down, posting cryptic captions, teasing new tracks, even hinting at a so-called battle record. But nothing landed. One post showed him in the studio writing something for the haters, but when it dropped, the hype was non-existent. The comment section wasn't filled with excitement, it was flooded with side eyes. Fans weren't asking when the track would drop. They were asking why. Because in hip-hop, when the tone shifts from anticipation to doubt, it's not just your audience that changes, your position does too. And according to one former publicist tied to Dipset, even Jim's own team started splitting over how to handle the mess. Some people in Jim's camp thought he should fall back, go quiet for a bit and let the heat die down. Others were yelling the opposite. Drop a diss, own the backlash. But that split thinking, that lack of a clear plan, only made the situation messier. With Cam'ron posting cryptic captions, Styles P cooking up lethal bars, and Jada keeping his silence sharp as a blade, Jim started looking like he was playing defense on too many fronts. Right now, we're watching a whole cultural question unfold in real time. Cam and 50 are building alliances, Styles is on fire, Jada's silence says everything, and the balance of power in hip-hop feels like it's shifting right under Jim's feet. Harlem's loudest voice is suddenly sounding cornered, not because he's canceled, but because the game evolved without waiting for him. The longer Jim stays stuck on defense, the more this feels less like a controversy and more like an exit. Not forced, not banned, just phased out. Quietly replaced by a generation that doesn't owe him the same respect he once commanded. The culture always moves forward, and when it doesn't look back. But here's the thing about hip-hop. There's always one more verse, one more freestyle, one more mic check that can flip the whole narrative if it hits right. That's why this story's not over yet. It's hanging in the balance. Jim still has one last chance to remind the world why his name meant something in the first place. Because right now, the only question left is, did Jim Jones just troll himself out of the very culture that made him? Or does he still have one last verse that could set the streets on fire again? So tell me what you think. Is Jim being unfairly dragged by cancel culture? Or has he finally burned through all his goodwill? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what side you're on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay locked in because this story, it's just getting started.